Yo, what's up guys? How's everyone doing? Guys, today the audio isn't going to be as good because I don't have my regular microphone, but please let me know if everything is okay. Um, Wow, yeah. So, I just want to get straight into the technical analysis for this one, and it's been a very interesting day. In my Telegram post where I was talking about, just a brief little intro for this stream, I used the words what was it? Probably yeah, interesting and shaky times. And guys, it is exactly that because we tested our upper resistance of 7,700. This is the level I've been calling for a very long time. Guys, honestly, I was surprised that we were going to test it today. If we look at the volume bar, it is a red volume bar, and the only reason for that is that this volume bar, this candle closed being red, and so that's why the volume is red. But it really doesn't matter. The green volume is really what pushed it higher, and of course, red volume that also resulted in the dump that followed. But this is a very interesting candle because it is telling us that potentially the bulls have been testing, trying to see if we can break these levels. And, like I said in the last stream, we do have some bot action in this market, but not as much as we have been seeing usually. Just going to check the chat now and make sure everything is okay before I do continue. But in that sense, it's actually quite a bearish sign. Just pull up this chat now. Audio is very good. Thank you. Okay, well, that's audio is the worst. Okay, so we've got a bit of a I don't even have the words for this, but yeah, no. So what we've got right now is the bulls testing this high, and because the bots don't take as much control of this market anymore, it does mean that this pump up to 7,700 probably wasn't just to liquidate positions. It probably wasn't just a short squeeze, and so this was actually retail traders and the majority of the market trying to push the market higher. I'm going to get to this a little bit more in just a second now. And so testing this high is very interesting. It did result in a dump that took us down to levels within the $7,200 range. And if you guys remember last stream, I was distinctively bearish. Of course, I always try to take a neutral stance, but when the situation calls for it, when the market is telling me what it is, I do change that stance. I swing bullish or I swing bearish. And last stream I was bearish. That sentiment still remains for me. Now, what we've actually got is a continuation of this consolidation pattern. This candle closes in 3 hours. It only opened an hour ago. But the fact that this dump didn't take us lower does a few things. First of all, it almost negates this M-shaped formation, which I touched on in the last stream. And the reason for that is when we dump, when we're at the top of this M-shape, historically what happens is when a big dump actually happens, it takes us right down. So that's what happened back here 21st and 2nd of June. And that's also what happened when we had another M-shape, which was over here. And that dump actually took place on the 9th of June. So that pattern did not repeat itself, and so for that reason I don't think that this is going to result in a massive dump down to levels like 6,800. I have taken that off the cards somewhat. Now if we go over, we are on the 4-hour chart. If we turn on our EMA ribbons, we have found support on our EMA 21, so this is completely predicted movement. I mean, I've been going on for a very long time about how useful these indicators are for predicting support, and so people trading really doing some quite risky trading, but if it works for you, perfect. If you're doing some day trading, trading these up and down swings, you would have had a nice signal here to go long. But of course, this only works in hindsight, because in the moment, you would be thinking, and you'd have good reason to think that we've filled out this M shape and we're going to go straight down to the support at 6,800. Nonetheless, though, we did find support here. I do think we're going to drop into this EMA ribbon again and fully trade within one. Have a candle or two close here and then probably send us a little bit higher to levels like 7,400 being our area of consolidation. Going on to levels like 76, 77, of course. This rejection does really prove to us how important the 7,700 level is. I've been having some doubts while we were trading within this range because we haven't hit the 77 level. We got rejected at 76, 75, and so that made me think that potentially the 7,700 level isn't as important, and it's actually levels like 75 and 6 that are far more important. But I think this rejection does really seal the fate for Bitcoin, and you've seen the title of this video, meaning did this rejection kill the bulls? And really this is a key rejection. Of course you would expect it to get rejected once and then potentially test higher. And of course, if we just look at this trading pattern, we forget about the 1-day Ichi, which I will of course go to in just a second. What this chart is telling us very simply is that we've pumped up, we've had a reversal like I've gone on about for quite a while now, and this pattern is still forming a bull flag. Not even forming, it has formed a bull flag. And so what we've got here, because we haven't dumped down completely, we could be seeing a further continuation of this pattern. Now, typically when Bitcoin is in a pattern like this, it doesn't stay completely sideways for too long. So if we measure how long it's been consolidating now, it actually hasn't been, it actually has been a very long time. It's been 2 days and 16 hours, going on 3 days, and that's a pretty big deal. So we're usually going to expect a big move from Bitcoin around about something like this. Now, like I said a couple streams back, we usually get a big move from Bitcoin at the daily UTC close, which is in about 3 hours, I believe. And we get pumps at about 1 p.m. UTC and about 6 p.m. UTC as well. So these are the important times to take note of. And like I said, I think it was on the last stream, this lines up with where when people, for example, in Asia do wake up. And so we could say that they are pumping or dumping the market. But this has been a very narrow consolidation range. It is within an uptrend, and so yeah, as I was saying, this is a signal to go long, and of course the target would be probably crossing 77 and 7800, going on to $8,200 resistance. And this is compared to the resistance we've been facing over the past couple of weeks, 82 is very easy, and we probably shouldn't be facing much resistance over there. But you know, it's been a very different story in the alt market. Alts have been getting absolutely wrecked. I've been calling it for weeks since I started these daily live streams again. You know, these alts have all lost value between 5 and 15%, and it's the same story with each one of these. It's very unfortunate because I know a lot of people who even in our VIP chat who just, you know, have too strong of an affinity with their alts. They've seen it drop from, you know, all-time highs, and now they're down maybe 80-90%, and it's very hard to build up the courage to sell. You know, I understand it, but you know, like I said in the last stream, it's a case where you know, you've had a loss. I get it, it sucks, and if we do go bull, and you guys know my stance on that, I do think we are going to. Bitcoin is going to run. I'm going to touch on this in just a second, actually. Alts are also going to run, so your alts will make back their losses, but it's really a case of assessing, will you make more gains by trading Bitcoin, because it's heavily underestimated if you trade it on leverage, or will you make those gains in the alt market? And really, it's not looking good. I mean, these drops 5 to 11% in itself, 5 to 15% in itself are not huge. Of course, any conventional trader would tell you this is absolutely terrible, sell the crap out of it. But as crypto traders, we're used to this kind of volatility. The only issue with it is, if we look at this price graph for the 7-day trading patterns, it's been a constant decline. So it's been a over the past 3 days or so, it's been a constant decline, going between 1 and 15% down every day, and really that does compound. And I mean, let's take Stellar for example, one of the coins that I personally quite like, which is hypocritical of me, I know, because I don't like Ripple, but this is one of the coins I think could be hitting Coinbase. And if we look at where it was trading from its peak, $0.31, 31 cents, and now look at where it is, $27, that's a pretty big drop down. Over the past couple of days, it has dropped down a fair bit. I can't do the percentages off the top of my head, but I think that's going to be around 15% or 20 or something like that. So fairly substantial, probably not 20. That seems more like a 15% drop. So I mean, comparatively, like I said, I was going to go on to it. Bitcoin has been stable. I mean, it's gone down -1%, and we look at its 7-day graph. It's held this level so well, and yet alts have not. I mean, while Bitcoin has been consolidating, alts have been losing value, and I touched on this a little bit lightly in the last stream, but I think it really has a lot more importance today, and that is, seeing all of these alts go down. We look at the volume traded. The volume is not good. I mean, yesterday I said it was still pretty good because we're in a consolidation pattern. We're now going into the 3rd day of this consolidation, and as expected, we're seeing volume continue to taper off, but I wouldn't, I didn't want to see it this low. I mean, yesterday it was 16.5. We're now dipping into the 15s, potentially 14s. So we are going back into the territory that I don't like to be in. Of course, though, this is expected. I did mention how you want to see a big sort of volume pump over here when we go up. You want to see volume going down on the whole. So 4 hour isn't a good chart for this. Let's look at the 1 day instead. So on the day where we go up, we have a big volume candle, and then it gradually sort of goes down over the following 3 days. The second day was actually higher. So what this is telling us is the volume's gonna go down, and then suddenly it's gonna pump back up, and it's gonna go out of this bull flag and continue the uptrend. So that's what you would typically expect, and we are seeing this because the volume has been going down, but Bitcoin's volume has stayed relatively high at $5 billion. If we look at where it was before, it was actually in the $4 billion range. So this is very good. Of course, we're about to hit the 4 billion. So again, this is not a good thing. But it is holding up stronger than most of the alts. And if we do look at the Bitcoin dominance now, we're at 45.7%. This means that alts have been losing their value. We can see this very clearly, apart from Tether, the OG. Alts have been really, I mean, look at Oh My Go. Look at Bitcoin Diamond. I found pretty funny. I think it's over here, yeah. Just completely pumped and dumped like an absolute shit coin that it is. 45.7% Bitcoin dominance. Yesterday, I think we saw about 44. So we are seeing Bitcoin dominance rise, and there is no mistaking it, guys, because what you would first thing I would think of when I see Bitcoin dominance rising, when I see alts going down like this, is it's being sold into Bitcoin, and because we've had such a big bearish bias, you would expect Bitcoin to go down. You would expect people to liquidate into Bitcoin, and because Bitcoin has the liquidity, because it's traded in USD true fiat pairs, you would go from altcoins to Bitcoin, and from Bitcoin to USD to Japanese yen or whatever, all these real world currencies as a hedge against the market. But instead of that, like I touched on yesterday, what we are seeing is alts actually going down, being liquidated into Bitcoin, but Bitcoin holding relatively strong, only -1%. Literally every alt, with the exception of maybe one or two, that Mithril, never even heard of it, that are green. Bitcoin has been holding up very well compared to them. Bitcoin dominance has been rising, and so like I touched on yesterday, it does look like the market on the whole expects Bitcoin to run much harder than alts. This is price movement that we haven't seen for a very long time, maybe a couple times in 2018 only, but this is actually what we saw many times in 2017 before the parabolic run from 6 to 20,000. And so this is a very good sign in my opinion. We're seeing alts get liquidated into Bitcoin, and people potentially, they're showing faith in Bitcoin because Bitcoin's price isn't going down, and alts are being liquidated to go into Bitcoin. So this, in my opinion, is a very bullish sign. I mean, if people believe the market was going to go down, we would also see Bitcoin's price going down alongside that. Just make sure, yeah. So I mean, last stream, I did say that I expected a bit of a move down, and I have touched on that lightly in this video, that we could hit this ribbon. You know what, as we go on, it's looking a little bit less likely, just because we are continuing this consolidation pattern, so we could see a test of the highs again, maybe around 7,500, and then continue to trade in this range again. But now, like I said, we have been in this range for 2 days and 16 hours, and so you would expect us to leave this range fairly quickly. I don't think we're going to leave by going down. It just doesn't look very likely. One thing to take note of, though, is we've really haven't had much huge movement. I mean, 7,700 down, only a wick, and down to 7,300. I get it, that's a fairly big move, but on the whole, our movements haven't been huge. Yet what we are seeing is a huge change of sentiment from retail traders who are really sort of starting to doubt Bitcoin. So you guys have seen the Wall Street cheat sheet psychological chart. If you haven't, check it out after this stream. But what I said about that chart is, we could be at the end, we could be seeing this disbelief rally, and this would make sense if we are over here right now, and we have people who are, saying this is a suckers rally. That's exactly the words they use. It's a suckers rally. It's not going to stick. It's the disbelief stage of Bitcoin's journey upwards, completing its market cycle, and of course, like I've said many times, it is very possible that Bitcoin has completed its market cycle with this inverse head and shoulders. I showed you the inverse chart in yesterday's stream, which looks extremely bullish for extremely bullish for Bitcoin. So, it could very well be that we've had the reversal now, and we are ranging higher. And I mean, in last video, I did say that we could see a bit of a dump followed by a pump higher, because we did need the RSI to correct. Now, since then, it is down to 61. I believe it's going to go a little bit lower, just because it is in this sort of relative consolidation pattern. It would be great to see the RSI going into neutral territory, and of course it is very close, 61 and 50. You can see the number over here for those of you wondering where I'm getting this from, 61 being close to 50, of course. So the closer we go there, I think potentially the better. I will get to your questions in just a second, guys. I just want to look through the final little things here, which I think are very important. And of course, we've now got the fourth rejection of this Ichimoku cloud. So it's quite concerning to me. Really, there isn't any resistance in this area. Like I said, I didn't expect 7,500, 7,600 to be key resistance areas, but alas, they are. And we can see that most clearly just through this rejection of the Ichi cloud, which has been concerning me quite a bit. What would happen in an ideal world now is we would start trading completely sideways until this Ichimoku cloud actually clears up and turns into a green cloud by closing off this resistance, it going higher, and it's sort of thinning out like this. And eventually, when that does happen, it would turn into a green support cloud. That is actually what happened with our 4-hour chart. And although we did drop below the Ichi cloud, we later went into it and used it as a launch pad, which I did mention was a possibility. So this was a very good sign. And if we can see this playing out, manifesting in the daily chart as well, I think that is going to be a pretty good thing. As it stands, though, this resistance has me very worried. Like I said, conventional trading would tell you to go long, and right now we're at the bottom of our trading range, so this is the right time to go long. Yet, with that Ichi resistance cloud, I just would not feel comfortable taking a position on like that. It is very possible that at any point we start to dump a little bit, and that would be pretty, if you're going long, that would most likely result in a liquidation, depending on what leverage you use. I think that is everything I wanted to go through, guys, though. If you're not already in the Telegram channel and you want to get all of my alerts, you want to get more posts like this, then definitely do hit that up. The link is in the description down below the like button. And of course, if you're interested in VIP, there is an instruction thing below that link. In the VIP chat today, so amazing. One guy, I don't want to say his name, that would probably be pretty bad, but he went from 2 Bitcoin to 14 Bitcoin, Bitcoins plural, right? And that was in the space of less than 3 weeks, using these signals. So I mean, he's strongly outperformed me. I'm sure he's had to take on a decent bit of risk going from 2 to 7 Bitcoin, because as you guys know, I don't enter any position with more than 15% of my capital. But a 7x gain in 3 weeks is pretty huge. So huge congratulations to him. I just didn't have words. I mean, that blew me away. But yeah, I will go through, answered all of your questions. Awesome, Maxi. Great to see that. Shout out to my VIP members in here, guys. I do see you here. I don't want to say your names because we do unfortunately get a few malicious people which you wish 4 flies was your dad. That'd make me a rich fetus. That is hilarious. I think sell orders crushed it, and the FOMO pushed the wick, so the RSI can only de-stress. This will bring green to the cloud. FOMO feeds the bulls. The Timmy J, I think that's a wonderful way to summarize everything we've seen, and I would love to agree with you, though right now I am taking more of a neutral stance. But I think you've got a wonderful reasoning for what you've just said there. 4 flies, on what time span do you think altcoins will follow Bitcoin? So that's a very good question, and like I mentioned in the last stream, what we usually saw in 2017, and it looks like this pattern is playing out this time, is we would see alts getting liquidated into Bitcoin. Bitcoin would run and go up in USD, and meanwhile alts would lose their Bitcoin value. I think this has also been a red day for, yeah, of course it has been a red day for alts, because Bitcoin, alts trading against Bitcoin, ZRX down 10%, nearly 11. That's pretty bad. I mean, I do like ZRX. we are seeing alts lose value against Bitcoin, and this happens when Bitcoin stays, rather when Bitcoin goes up. Today, Bitcoin hasn't been going up; it's been completely flat, as you can see from this 7-day chart. And what this does indicate to me is that Bitcoin could run a little bit, and then alts would run after Bitcoin. So we will get a chance to buy alts cheap. And of course, if it does look right, I will be giving those signals for alts. I have been wanting to for a very long time, but as you know, I mean, we've had to avoid these disastrous losses. I mean, huge losses. I do feel for people still holding these alts, and of course, I'm no financial advisor. I'm not a professional. None of this is financial advice, but you know, I sold all of my alts weeks ago. I think even months ago. You know, I completely saw this coming. Alts will always perform worse than Bitcoin. Alts will always perform better than Bitcoin when it's going up. But at the moment, we've got a very interesting turn of events right now. And I think we will have to wait for Bitcoin to rally a little bit until money will flow from Bitcoin back into the alt market. We have cleared Bitcoin dominance resistance. I didn't want to show this chart yesterday because couldn't be bothered. But today I think it is relevant, and so I do want to bring it up. And what we've actually got here, guys, is we've breached our high, which we had last time. Our high last time was about 55.1%, and today we are up to 55.7%. And so on this Bitcoin dominance, if we're going to do some TA on it, we have actually breached that resistance, which was around about here, and we could really see a run up to levels like it's so laggy right now, you know, 57. If it goes up to that level, really alts will just get completely smashed. And since we have breached this resistance, there is a chance that it happens. Now, analyzing Bitcoin's dominance is not a healthy idea. It doesn't work very well, but this is sort of hypothetical. If you believe this will happen, and of course all of this is, you know, what's the word, like thought food, I guess, for you to deliberate on these things yourself and think of what you think might be the case. You know, it's not for me to say what's going to happen. I'm just presenting this information and letting you make your own judgments. Why don't I like Ripple? I think the adoption with banks is a good thing in that it helps spread the word of crypto. I do think that's a good thing with Ripple. My issue with it is its centralization. If I'm not mistaken, it's either 60 or 90% that's owned by Chris Larsen, if I'm not mistaken, again with his name. He's the CEO of BitMEX. Either way, it's hugely centralized. And I'm going to get a million people talking about how, oh yeah, but Bitcoin's centralized and look at the mining and all that. I get it, but Bitcoin in spirit is not meant to be that. And I think in practice it also isn't very centralized either. Yet we look at something like Ripple and you can get just dumped on completely at a moment's notice. So Ripple does not stand for what crypto is. Bcash, again, I mean, you don't have to look further than bitcoin.com. I'm not going to go on that website today because last time I did it, I did get a little bit riled up and, you know, ready to start throwing some punches, I guess. But really, yeah, I mean, Bcash, Ripple have no place in the crypto space, in my opinion. We completely agreed with you about a week ago, but I'm thinking we could have underplayed the significance of the ETF. It's like a repeat of SegWit 2X run in November. Steve, that's a very good comparison that you've made. I've never even considered that the ETFs could be like the SegWit 2X run, which we had last time. And since you have brought that up, that's very interesting because this whole SegWit thing was a pretty big deal. I mean, there was a huge movement, even Charlie Lee saying no to X in his Twitter handle, but or Twitter name rather. But yeah, if it is on that level of significance, it is a pretty big deal. You know, really, what I am waiting to see is you know, if it's proved. What we could have seen here is you know, let's not forget. I know I have got this bullish bias, but I'm just telling you the story here. I was surprised. I actually saw someone in the comments yesterday saying about how, yeah, it could either go up or down in a teasing manner, and I think even Alessio Rastani is getting comments like this, which really shocks me because he does some great analysis, and I just didn't expect the same haters to go to him. But alas, they're everywhere, I guess. But we are in a downtrend. We are in a reaction rally within this downtrend, and you would really expect us to go down from here if we look at this long-term chart. And so what we could have seen here was, of course, news fueling our pump up. It's not really going to happen on its own. But if ETFs do get denied, that I think a lot of this price action has happened, I think, because of the ETF news, because the way it works, for those of you who don't know, is it allows a lot more people to get into the market, but more important than that, it means that the people who buy Bitcoin, who get into the market relatively easily, they need to own the underlying Bitcoin asset. They can't just buy a derivative of Bitcoin. Derivative meaning like Bitcoins exist on the blockchain, obviously, but you have like you write Bitcoin on paper, and then you act like that's Bitcoin. For example, when you buy the gold stock, you're not actually buying physical gold that you can hold in your hand. You're just buying a derivative of it. Like the gold is digitally assigned to your name. It's pretty weird for those of you who don't have experience in the market. I find it weird to wrap my head around as well. But futures are derivatives of Bitcoin. It's arguably what started this downtrend. I've talked about that at length. But since ETFs do require the underlying asset for insurance, I think this is it's potentially something different, and so that could have really played into this run up. I mean, even yesterday, actually, I've just noticed we had 5 consecutive, I think, or 6 consecutive candles going up. And so I did expect a red-orange candle here today, closing red and giving us a bit of a loss, but really, again, nothing. If we look at coin market cap, nothing huge. minus 1%. But if this ETF news does get denied on August the 10th, or potentially if it gets pushed back a little bit, I think that would be pretty disastrous for Bitcoin. I think that would result in a lot of dumping. And so we will have to look out for that. I've been considering what my plays might be. I think leading up to August, we could either see a slow, controlled sell-off or a slow, controlled sort of pump up and rally going upwards. I have been considering what kind of plays I could make. I may just wait and see what direction the market is. Either way, I think we're going to be going up slowly or down slowly in preparation for that news. If we go down slowly, there is a chance that we form a rising wedge and the ETF news is positive, and then that's it. Just like that, we get sent right up and we fly. We get pumped by like $1,000. Or if we do go up slowly again, just based off TA, that could tell us that we're in a rising wedge, which is typically a bearish pattern. Of course, right now we're in a bilateral pattern, which represents uncertainty. It's actually not very visible on the 4-hour chart, but if I were to draw these trend lines, you would see that the overall trend for where these candles close is actually up. I think if we're a bit more technical about it and have it and not discount any candle opens and closes, we'd have it like this, and either way the trend is still up while our trend is up. And so a bilateral pattern is not instantly bearish, but it's not instantly bullish either. It's both a bilateral pattern and a bull flag, the way we are looking at it right now. So very interesting times, like I said, but also, of course, very shaky. They're manipulating with us. I don't understand. Why don't you use the default settings on your Ichimoku indicator? Yeah, so the reason I don't use the default settings, crypto tax attorney, is that the default settings you mentioned, 92652, are for the conventional markets, which operate, I believe, between 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And so the difference here is these have been tuned for a 24/7 market. And so it makes more sense with the cryptocurrency industry, because there's never any downtime with this trading. So, that's why I do use this Ichimoku Cloud pair of settings. Killing the alt's 90% worthless. I completely agree. Yeah, guys, smash those likes real quick. We're up to, haven't got the most up-to-date numbers, but I think it's about 500 viewers maybe. Just going through this chat again. Yeah, definitely smash those likes up, guys. How far should the ETH bleed? I have no idea, mate. I did have fish and chips tonight. Thank you very much for asking, Ash Jones. It was as amazing as expected. Yes, did really brighten my day. Am I Indian, Manish? Yes, I'm part Indian. Yeah. Gold money is a way to buy gold without holding it. Yeah. I mean it's a derivative, right? Web evolution, I think it's good that sells were filled up today, filled higher up today. Means they cleared out for future upside. If it pulls back, I'll enter a long position at a price according to my strategy. Yeah, web evolution, I think it's both a bearish and a bullish thing, and of course there will be a few haters because I said that, but no, I think it's also a good sign, right? Because it means that some shorts have played out. We may have some traders in the market that wanted to fill in some shorts and profit from them before we do go up. These are things that you hear fairly often in the space. You know, oh, people wanted to see the price go higher first and then let it dump and then go back up. I don't give credit to that. I am just, bringing it to your attention as a potential thing that happened. But I think it's a lot of ifs to say, Bitcoin will go up and then it will go down and then we want it to go up. I mean, that's such a weird pattern to predict, I think. So I think really what this was a push from the bulls to go higher, and it has evidently failed. So I think it's a bit more concerning than good, but of course it is nice that on the way down, bears have been able to fill in their shorts and their sells, and so they have profited from it, and there is a chance, like you said, on the next run, the next test of 7,700, if and when it comes, bears would perhaps be a little bit more exhausted, and so they wouldn't try to short once again. What else have we got here? Bitcoin touched 70 RSI and dropped, like Kirby said. Yeah, so I mean, I think you've maybe given the RSI a bit too much credit there in saying that it dropped to 70 and then it dropped further. The way I'm seeing it, the RSI just fell through 70 as if the line wasn't really there. The RSI doesn't respect levels like 70. It doesn't respect levels like 30. It's too variable, I think. JD old school wanting fish and chips. Of course, everyone wants fish and chips once they've tried it from a good place. ETH way oversold. I agree with you, man. I mean, like I said, ETH is the only altcoin I'm holding. I don't consider it an altcoin, but this sell-off is not justified in my opinion. ETH is a very strong coin. There's a lot of attention around it because it has more utility than Bitcoin. I think that that ETH in the long run, like I said, I mean, it's the only altcoin I'm holding. I've just noticed now that it could either be close to support or on support. So I want to draw that line and see what that looks like. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so draw that from back here. And yeah, we are approaching that support. So it looks like, and this is a support line that ETH has historically respected very uniformly, if that makes sense. I mean, ETH has really respected this trend line very well, and so I think we could see ETH dropping to a level of like 420. And if you are looking to go long, if you are looking to buy, this would be the level I'd be doing so. I wish I could trade ETH on leverage, on margin, but unfortunately on BitMEX at least, you can only trade Ethereum against Bitcoin, and so that would have been a nice shorting opportunity, but not so good for longing, because when Bitcoin runs, so does Ethereum. For those of you wondering about what BitMEX is, you can just type in 4Flies BitMEX. It is how we've been making the exponential gains in this market. I mean, like I said, someone in VIP going from 2 Bitcoin to 14 in under 3 weeks, absolutely insane. I mean, that's just one of the testimonials as well. Really did blow me away there. I checked your BitMEX video and learned a lot about Bitcoin trading. Did my first trade at 74.57 and now it is down. I need help. I need to join your VIP team. Yeah, well, I'm glad the video has helped. Like I said in the last stream, this isn't an area to be trading in, though, so it's not very surprising you're in a loss. That's not to say your abilities are poor, it's just even I'm staying away from this area You know, you could trade the swings from 73 up to 75, for example, and if you go on something like 25 leverage, you would see a very healthy profit. But my issue with that is there's too much uncertainty. So we could dump at any moment, we could pump up at any moment, and really this is not a range I would be trading in. So I don't think it's a coincidence you've suffered a loss there, Dewas. What you want to do probably is enforce a little bit more discipline or something, and stay away from, you know, what I always like to say is the most important thing about BitMEX, about trading in general, is knowing when not to trade. You have to really be able to separate yourself from the market at certain times. And I mean, today has been a day where a friend of mine flew in from Sweden, and just, you know, spending quality time with friends and family is the above all the most important thing you can do in life, probably. I don't know the answer to that, but you know, this is the time where you just relax, you enjoy the fruits of your success, that kind of a thing. And when the market is telling you to do something, that's when you do it. You know, you don't try to force the market. We don't have enough money to do that. Only using 10 leverage, so that is a good leverage number. I think you know, you want to keep it relatively low. Especially in a trade in a range like this, because the losses can come very quickly. My opinion is that it's going to go down to 6,500 momentum, basically. I'm not too sure about 6,500. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's even going to go as low as 6,800 now, given how long it's been in this consolidation for. But 68, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's going to go there, but it's still very much on the cards. It could happen. We could see a slow descent down there, for example, perhaps another rejection of 7,700. And then bouncing off old resistance turning support. So that is a pretty good sign, I think. Any exchange or trading platform you can use stop sell. Yeah, so you can do it. Someone already commented the new era. Yeah, you can do it on Binance. You can do it on BitMEX as well. Links to all of those things in the description. If it goes to 6,814, I'm going to lose it all. What should I do? I'm not going to give financial advice like that, man. You probably, you know, do what your heart says, I guess. Yeah, just go with what your heart says, mate. But yeah, guys, I think with that, you know, I have gone through everything I wanted to within this stream. I have answered a couple of your questions. This isn't the ideal trading setup, and unfortunately, tomorrow I will be away for the whole day. I am actually going to, like I said, the Isle of Wight, so I think that will be a pretty nice journey. Of course, I will be there to check the prices constantly because I have an addiction to that. But of course, if signals will be needed to be posted out, I will have the means to do that. So I will be putting out a signal either way, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure jumping on stream with you guys every single day. I do enjoy it very much, and obviously I will be getting straight back to the flow on Monday. I have been very lazy with this VPVR indicator. I will upload that very soon, most likely around Monday or Tuesday as well. But guys, yeah, with that, make sure to smash those likes one more time. Let's get them to a pretty nice number there. And of course, if you're new to this channel, do subscribe, do tick the bell so you don't miss out on these uploads. And if you're not in the Telegram channel, the link is down below in the description. It is completely free, and lots of people making huge profits from that as well. 500, 400%, absolutely huge stuff. So yeah, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And with that, I'm out. Peace.